Welcome everybody to our holiday baking class today. So great to have you along for today and the holiday season. I am Shayna, one of the dietitians, and I am super excited to be teaching this class today because not only do I love the holiday season, but I love to bake. I love the music that goes along with it, all of it. I am in my happy place right now being here with you guys today and doing this class. As you can see here from my title, we are going to be making something a little fun and different for the holidays, a pear and pomegranate pistachio galette. All right, if you don't know what a galette is, don't worry, we're going to go over that here in a couple moments. But this is what our agenda is looking like for today, okay? We're going to start off by talking about holiday baking and nutrition, right? Because here we are in one of the nutrition classes, and I'm like, let's bake. Um, so you might have some questions about that and how all of that fits together. So we're going to chat about that for a minute, and then we're going to get into that featured recipe, that galette that I mentioned. Okay. So holiday baking and nutrition. Does baking fit into our well-being plan during this time of year? Absolutely. I feel like baking can fit at any time of the year, and especially during this time when I really feel like it can bring a lot of folks, including me, a lot of joy and happiness. All right. And just because we're trying to keep nutrition in mind doesn't mean that we have to push those things or those activities to the side. All right. We can definitely still include them. I know for me personally, baking, especially this time of year, is a way that I get together with family and friends. Just this upcoming weekend, my daughter and I are going to be heading to a family's house to bake cookies for the day, and I'm sure a lot of folks do the same thing. So all of those things are still okay to do. I just have a couple of ideas or thoughts to throw your way, maybe to keep in mind as we are baking and eating all of those goodies during the holiday season. So the first thing, and we say it all the time, just that reminder of moderation, right? No such thing as a bad food. It just depends on how much of it you decide to eat. So we can eat all of these goodies that we're making. We just want to make sure that we're doing them in moderation, balancing them out with a lot of other good things like produce and protein and all of that, which we'll chat more about protein and fiber here in a moment. Also, there is the idea that you can do some ingredient swaps. So for those folks who are really into baking and maybe would like to do a little bit of experimenting with ingredient swaps, I encourage you or welcome you to do so, whether that be playing around with the amount of sugar or fat content in recipes, swapping things out for applesauce and whatnot. But I say do that cautiously. It is an experiment. Baking is very much so a science. So when it comes to things like cookies and cakes, we can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna take this out and put this in. I definitely would do some online research, some different recipes, or like I say, go into it knowing that you might have to experiment because, as I mentioned, it is a science, and each ingredient that goes into those types of items has a purpose, whether that be for not only taste, but texture or to help something rise or a cookie to crackle or crumble in a certain way. So just be mindful of that. The one thing that I would say you could play around most could be something like the sugar content, especially in recipes like we're doing today, this galette, or a pie. Oftentimes, that is an easy thing to cut back on because it's not going to really affect the structure of what we are baking. Okay. And then also something that we're going to be doing today and what we are baking is to feature some produce, right? The more we can get in that colorful produce, a little bit of fiber and whatnot, the better. So those are all some ideas and thoughts to throw your way during this holiday baking season where you can. Okay. Now, here is that recipe that we are making today. This is a pear pomegranate pistachio galette. Dietitians love alliteration, so does Savory, our recipe resource center. So this is a fun one here. You can see it looks lovely. It has all of those holiday colors with the red from the pomegranate and the green from the pistachio. Both links are there. if you are not familiar with what a galette is, this is what it is. This is what it looks like. I've made them before in some of our classes. And what it is it's kind of like a very easy, rustic pie. Okay, so if you are somebody who loves pie, or maybe would like to try your hand at making a pie but feel a little intimidated, this is a great beginner step to do so. Because as you will see as we make it today, it is super simple and easy to put together. So I really love it for all those reasons. Or if you have kids who, are getting interested and curious and being in the kitchen with you, this is a good one to start them out with as well. Okay. So here are the ingredients for what we are making today. The main feature is going to be pears. I love pears. Don't get me wrong, I love apples. I'm definitely team apples, but it's nice to have something a little bit different like the pears in there. Some sugar, some spices, which we'll chat more about as we build this and make this. And then you can see the pistachios, the pomegranates are there, and we have a really fun addition to our galette today. This isn't in the original recipe, so I wanted to note it here that we are going to be topping our galette off with some of the Kashi protein fiber cereal. Okay, so of course, this is a great cereal just to have as it is. Jenna chatted all about it last week in her Feature Friday class. So if you missed that, go back, check out our YouTube page for that. But I'm featuring it today on this galette as a topping. I decided to go with the cinnamon crunch flavor. There's a bunch of other flavors, but I felt like the cinnamon would lend really well to the ingredients that we are already using. And what it's going to do is it's going to add that pop of flavor and that pop of texture too. As the name implies, it's cinnamon crunch. It's going to give us that little bit of a crunch to our galette and a sprinkle of nutrition, okay? In each serving of the cereal, you're getting 10 grams of protein, 10 grams of fiber. So two components that can really help to fill us up, help stabilize our blood sugar a little bit more. Are we eating a whole serving whenever we're having a slice of our galette? No, but we are getting a touch of that here and there. It's a great way to introduce it to your baked goods. Okay, so I think that this is going to be a fun one for us to include today. Okay, now with that said, before we get into our recipe today, I just had the question for you guys since we are making this galette. What is your go-to holiday meal dessert? Okay, so after you have the holiday meal, what are you looking to have this time of year? Okay, is it a pie? Is it a cake? Or it is clearly cookie season, all right? I feel like that is what the big go-to is. And as much as I love to make cookies this time of year, that's not actually the dessert that would be my pick to have after the big holiday meal. To me, they're like, oh, I want a cookie here or there on any random day. But after the holiday meal, I mean, I do love a pie, but I am a big like cake person and I love to make cake too. So it's hard. If it was Thanksgiving, I would of course say pie. But for this time of year, I think I would go with like a fun, like Christmassy cake, I think. Although I have made a lot of brownies too. It's so hard. So let me show you guys where you all are with this. And it's nobody, no, I'm not going to say nobody. Not a lot of people are with me on the cake department. That's okay. A lot of you are split between pie and cookies, all great options too. And I think that this rustic pie, like we're doing today, could be a beautiful dessert for your after your holiday meal, something to take to a work party, a friends get together, whatever it might be. I also think this could be a fun little breakfast. I know we're saying holiday baking, but I would eat this for breakfast too. So, but since a lot of you mentioned the cookies, I will go ahead and ask our last poll question that reminds me of cookies. And that is, would you rather give holiday baked goods? I'm thinking cookies are usually the big one that people do this with, or would you rather receive them? Sometimes people put all those cookies on the plate that says that this is a giving plate. So after you eat these, make some more, give them to somebody else, or maybe you're just getting them in a container and you're like, thank you for this. Um, I myself would be in the, I would rather give them because I like to bake them. Like, yes, of course, I love to eat them too, but for me, the fun isn't actually baking them. And don't be shy. Like, if you are the one who likes to receive the cookies, that is okay too. All right. I see after I said that, a couple of you more answered. So let me show you guys where we are. Um, almost 50-50, but not quite. A little bit more on the you would rather give the holiday baked goods. But for those of you who like to receive them, we are grateful for you because we need somebody to give them to, right? So it all works out. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this screen here and let's bring up our ingredient. Okay, so let's start getting into making this galette. You should see my ingredients here. I brought a friend along. I love nutcrackers. I grew up with my gram collecting them through the holiday season. She had over 100, and now all of her kids and grandkids get to share them. This is a new one that I've added to my crew last year, and I felt like he should hang out with us in the kitchen today. So um, let's go ahead and get started though. My oven is preheated to 425 and we will start working with our pears, okay? Recipe only calls for 2 pears. If you are somebody who's like, hey, pears aren't my thing, I would say that's completely fine. You could totally swap these out for apples if you prefer, okay? I did wash my pears already. I am not peeling them because we're going to leave that skin on just for a touch more fiber. So I'm just coring them right now, just slicing down the side around the core as close as you can get. Okay, we'll do the other one here, and then we're going to slice these thinly. Now, pears are going to be a bit similar to apples in that sense that they are going to brown if you let them sit. So if you're packing these for a lunch or you want to cut these ahead of time, I would suggest adding a little bit of lemon juice or just soaking them in a bowl of water is kind of my new thing to help with that. If you're, like I said, trying to do this ahead of time or cutting them up for another reason. So I'm just going to slice these thinly. Move this up so you can see that a little bit more. And then we will toss them in our bowl. Not only will leaving the skin on add a little bit of fiber to our dish, but it's also going to add some more of that festive holiday color, right? We're talking all about the red and green here. It's going to pair very nicely with the pistachios and the pomegranate. Okay, so we will get them in there. When picking pears, you want them to be slightly soft. That's when you know that they're going to be a bit riper. You can leave them on the counter to ripen more. Once they are where you want them to be, you can pop them in the fridge. Oops. Okay. So we keep going along here. As I do that, I'll show you my little spatula that we're going to mix these up with. Cute little story. So at my daughter's school, they do the Santa's workshop. If you're familiar with that, it's like where the school sets up a little gift workshop that kids can go and buy gifts for whoever they want. Um, so she decided she was going to get me a gift there yesterday. And naturally, she came home from school and was like, I'm going to give it to you now. And I was like, are you sure about that? And she's like, yes, you're going to want to use it for the holiday season. And she was right. It's adorable. And when I was getting ready for class today, I was like, this little spatula needs to make its debut. So here it is. It's going to help us make sour ingredients today, and she will be so happy to hear it. All right, now that we have our 2 pears in there, oh, missed a slice, we are going to, the recipe calls for 1/4 cup of sugar. Now, once again, this is the part where I can say, if you don't want to add the whole 1/4 cup, you don't have to, right? You could just do like 1/4 cup is 4 tablespoons, so you could just do 2 tablespoons of sugar in here if you wanted, all right? If you're trying to watch your blood sugar a little bit more, pre-diabetes, diabetes, you could cut that back. To this, I also have a tablespoon of lemon juice. Okay, like I said, it's going to help with the integrity of pears, also just add a little bit of brightness. And then I have a teaspoon of cinnamon. And the recipe also calls for half a teaspoon of coriander. That would add a little bit more warmth in the way of the spices to this dish. It's not one of my like top spices for my profile, so I'm not going to use it today. Same thing with like nutmeg and cloves. Although I love the smell of them, they're just not what I like to eat. So you could totally add them in if you want. You could omit. That's why sometimes recipes like this, there are certain ingredients that are just suggestions. You don't have to use them if you don't want, all right? So I've decided to leave them out. This is what we're looking like so far, okay? Now, I am going to go ahead and chop up one of our other ingredients before I move this cutting board out of our way and we can start building our galette. So here I have a 1/4 cup of pistachios, okay? Out of the shell, these are lightly salted. So they are just going to add a little bit of savory note to our galette. And I'm just going to go through and roughly chop them with my knife here. And as you can see, when you do that, it opens the pistachio up to give us an even more beautiful green color that's going to be a nice pop on the top of our galette, okay? Doesn't have to be crazy diced or anything, just chopped to get that color pop open and make it nice whenever you bite into the galette, okay? So I think that's good there. I'm gonna move that to the side and we will start working with our galette, okay? Move this out of the way. And what I have here is a baking sheet, and this is a pre-made pie crust, okay? You could make your own pie crust if you wanted to, but the gist of this recipe is that it's supposed to be easy, okay? So this is one of our pre-made pie crusts. There's 2 in a pack. We just need one. You unroll that. I did use my rolling pin just to make it a little bigger. Put it on a piece of parchment paper onto my sheet pan, okay? From here, we're going to take those pears and we're going to place them in the center of our pie crust. Now, if they go all over the place, that's fine, right? We can move them around. If you want to be very particular about them, which sometimes I can be, but I'm not going to be today, you could arrange these in a certain pattern or whatever you want to do. But once again, this is meant to be an easy recipe. It's meant to be rustic. So I think that they do turn out beautifully whenever you just lay them right on there like that. You can see I want to try to leave a border around the edge about 2 inches or so. So that way we can fold up these sides. That's what's making this a galette here in just a moment. Okay. So I have the pears on there. I'm going to bring back my chopped pistachios here, and we're going to just start sprinkling those on top, okay? The pistachios are also going to be another added element of crunch. They're going to give us another little bit of fiber, as well as those healthy fats, okay? Some good unsaturated fats, wonderful to help support our heart health. So not only do all of these things make our dessert look pretty, but then we also have some added benefits in there too. Okay, now this is the fun part where we're going to have that addition to our recipe here with the Kashi Go, protein and fiber, the cinnamon crunch. Look, the box just screams holiday too, right? Like it was meant to be. So, I'm going to get some of this out so you can see what it looks like here. All right. Okay, here's our cereal. It smells lovely. And it's just the right size. Like, some of them are going to be a little bigger. We could break that in half, but it's going to be pretty uniform to the pistachios. So it really is the perfect little fit and addition. And when I make an actual pie, oftentimes I do a crumb crust with like an oatmeal type texture, which this very much so reminds me of. I'm deciding to put this on now before I bake it. You could wait until after if you want, but I like for it to be nestled in there and marry with those other flavors. Okay. Now, here's how we're gonna form our galette. Just gonna move these pieces in. Okay. What we do, we just start to fold this up. Okay. We do a fold and then we keep folding. Okay. And we're gonna keep going around. See, I'm just tucking. You can do this. Yep, you can. You're good. See, keep going around. Move your sheet tray with you. I can hear my dog snoring right now. Isn't it the cutest thing whenever it's like cold outside and you're like baking and doing all the warm, fuzzy things and then you hear your dog snoring? It just is, it's the best little accompaniment to your baking day. And for those of you who don't know, my dog is huge. He's 150-pound Newfoundland, so his type of snoring is quite crazy loud. Okay, here we go. All right, there is our galette. Once again, beautifully rustic, right? Now, what I have left to add to this before you pop it into the oven is I have an egg. I've just whipped it up a little bit. I have my pastry brush here. If you don't have a pastry brush, no worries. You could use a paper towel. Anything like that would be fine. Okay, and we just go ahead and paint our dough. This is going to make our dough, our crust, nice and golden brown when we pull it out of the oven. We do sell these pastry brushes in our stores. So if you're like, oh, I think I need one of those, I would say yes, you do, because you never know when you need one, like today. So you can get these like in our baking section where like the utensils are near the aluminum pans and things like that. That's where they're going to be, okay? You want to make sure you really get into the crevices there, get along the edges, go the whole way around, because if we don't do this, then the crust can start to get a little dry, all of that, okay? So here we go. That goes in the oven, like I said, 425 for about 20 to 25 minutes. I did mine for 20 minutes. And ta-da! Isn't it beautiful? It smells so good. Once again, I know I keep using the word rustic. It's the word of the day, but there it is. It's lovely, okay? Now, you could serve this a bunch of different ways. Maybe you have a festive tray you want to put it on. I like the idea of putting it on a cutting board because then you can easily slice it. You could take it off this parchment paper, but I do feel like the parchment paper just adds to the rusticness of it. There, I said rustic in a different way. Rusticness. Is that a word? Probably not. Okay. So here is that. We have our pomegranate arrows that we are going to sprinkle on top. Oh, they just nestle in beautifully. Some of them can fly all over the place. Oh, so good. I think the recipe calls for a quarter of a cup. I say do it until it looks pretty. Maybe have some on the side that people can add some more if they want. All right, but let me bring this up here to show you a little closer. How fun is that? This is lunch right here, guys. I'm so excited. But as you can see, it was so easy, right? Not as labor intensive as a regular pie. Doesn't have to be perfect. Lovely just as it is. So a really fun one that you can add to your holiday table, take to your get-togethers, whatever it might be, okay? Let me share my screen here with you guys one more time as we start to wrap up today. Here's that Kashi Go cereal once again. That was our topper, so make sure you pick that up. Here are the classes that are going to be coming up the rest of this week. So come back tomorrow with Joni. She's going to be doing holiday brunch, making a grazing board featuring the Kashi cereal again and some cookies. And then Charlotte will be with us on Thursday making a DIY holiday gift using the Kashi once again and some crispy treats. I was just thinking this morning I need to make some holiday crispy treats. So I will have to check out what Charlotte is making. So I'm sure that will be fun. And then speaking of fun, it's going to be a great time Friday morning. Join Jenna and I for coffee chat at 9 a.m. We are going to be doing a gift exchange. Some of you might have seen us do this before. We each have placed a giant direct order for each other. It is a surprise. So I picked things for her. She picked things for me. We picked them up. They're hidden in a bag. We can't see them. We will unbox them, gift them to each other on Friday morning, make fun of each other as we do, and have a glorious time. So join us for that on Friday. But I wanted to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you take care of the rest of the day. I've had so much fun with you during this holiday season, and especially making this galette. So let us know if you try it. I am going to go ahead and stop the recording at this time. I see that we have some questions. If you have any, now is the time to put them in. But otherwise, thank you and take care.